Hello and welcome back to DC Universe. I am your host, Section 31. I will be taking you on a magical journey, quite literally, from level 3 to level 30. My goal with this is just to show you guys how easy it is to get to level 30. Now, I've been talking to some people who play this game a lot and are already in the endgame content areas, and it operates a little bit differently from most games. Most games, when they expand their game, they increase the level cap, and that gives you different levels of end game content. Basically, that means you have raids and instances at level 50, you have raids at level 60, you have raids at level 70, and so on and so forth, like you do in World of Warcraft and Star Wars The Old Republic, and soon Neverwinter. Neverwinter is a Dungeons & Dragons MMO. They're increasing the cap to level 70 from level 60, and I might play that again at some point. So DC Universe does it by increasing your gear, so you can't access certain parts of endgame content if you have inferior gear. So once you get the gear required to do something, then you can do it. If you don't have the gear required to do something, you just straight up can't do it. So here is Freelancer. He is my ice two-handed tank. And of course he switched back to DPS immediately because it's very difficult to kill these guys as a tank. But he is exploring the Joker's Funhouse. I have replaced the giant hammers and giant axes with a baseball bat because it seems kind of appropriate. The Joker Goons seem like a baseball bat kind of crowd for me. So I am going to roll with it, and we are going to move on. So I'm helping the police dispose of the Joker toxin, and I am arresting some Joker goons, and that's all that you need to know. Really, I can stop talking now. That's all you need to know about this area, is that I am just helping out. I'm just arresting Joker's henchmen and throwing this stuff into the lake. What I would like to talk about is another really hotbed topic that nobody seems to be talking about, and I'd like to stir it up a little bit. Basically, there are a huge number of cases where the police have been using excessive force. Now, I'm going to start off immediately by saying that this has probably been going on for a lot longer than we think. The only reason that it comes to light now is because the police, not the police, the civilians, everybody has cameras. There are cameras on every computer, there are cameras on every cell phone, and so people can record what happens. So there's a growing number of instances in which police have been shooting people who have surrendered. They are also using some very violent apprehension methods, and nothing is happening. I'm gonna say that I have friends who are police, and being in a career where I work in sporting events, I have to deal with police every single day. I like cops. There are more good cops than bad cops. And that's why I'm playing a hero in this game. I want to help out, the good guys. So the problem that I have is not that cops are being violent. Most cops are more than justified in their actions, and I've actually heard people make the defense that people should kind of fear the cops. The cops need to impose an authority aura, an air of power, so that they can do their jobs properly. If people are scared of the cops, they are, they're going to be less likely to attack the cops. I don't necessarily disagree with that fact entirely. I think that, cops have a job to do, and most of them do it extremely well. My problem is that the cops that are not doing their job very well are not being punished in any way, shape, or form. This isn't just about the Ferguson, Missouri case or the Trevor Martin case in Ohio. Both of those are really tragic, but both of those actually deserved it. I'm talking about the police officer in, New Jersey? I'm going to have to look that up. But I'm talking about the case in which a police officer shot a robber in the stomach, and while she was down, they shot her again in the head. And one of the worst things that you can do if you like police is start following the Free Thought Project or Cop Block on Facebook. If you follow either of these two things, they are just going to blast you with actual examples of how this massive violent spread is happening. And they're also going to ever so politely remind you that the cops that are doing these things are not being even... They're not even being investigated. They're just being given the benefit of the doubt immediately and going right back to work. I think that's the problem. I think that we need to find a way to separate the instances where police are doing something wrong from the district attorney that they're already friends with. Most local district attorneys are not going to prosecute cops in their jurisdiction because the cops will no longer trust them, and vice versa. If the DAs can't trust their cops, and if the cops can't trust the DAs, it's going to become very difficult to work together. So I'm not saying that all cops are bad. I'm just saying that the cops that are bad absolutely need to be punished. They need to make an example out of them, because the cops that are not bad aren't trusted anymore. People need to trust their police. The police are there to help you. And if you're terrified of being pulled over because you think a cop is going to shoot you, even when you're not doing anything wrong, or if you think that you are going to be, choked out while you're being apprehended, you're far more likely to run away. Even if you do something wrong, say you're a drug dealer on the street and the cops are arresting you, and they handcuff you and they start stepping on your face, or they start kicking you, or they beat you up or choke you. That's not a good example for the people who aren't doing anything wrong, because they see that happen to somebody who didn't ask for it, and they immediately jump to the conclusion that the police are the bad guy, even if somebody else did something wrong. The second problem with the police now is the implementation of body cameras has started happening. Cops are wearing cameras, but they have the ability to turn them off. They have the ability to unplug them. They can just take the batteries out, and these body cameras no longer function. So it's a little bit broken. The whole system is broken, and there needs to be a way to have either have a redundancy in the cameras that can't shut off, or they need to have penalties. Maybe not necessarily job-threatening penalties, like if you turn off your camera you can be fired, but monetary penalties. Make the cops accountable, financially accountable, for what happens to their cameras. If you shut off your camera, it's a $500 paycheck dock. You start doing that, and cops are less likely to turn off their cameras. They will go out of their way to make sure that their cameras work because they like money as much as the rest of us. And if you're going to start docking them money, you're going to have to, it hurts financially, and financial pain is the worst kind of pain in a world where not everybody is making a lot of money. So that's my morality rant for this video. I'm getting there. I'm about 2/3 done with the outside area. If you see on the back of your screen, there is a world boss there. That's Funhouse. He's dancing, and he's just strutting around. He's not going to hurt me unless I hurt him. And I accidentally locked onto him. Once you lock onto somebody, it makes it a little bit difficult to lock onto anything else. You can't, once you've locked onto a character, with the exception of area of effect, AoEs, and, cones of attack, you're going to specifically target that person. So if I locked onto Funhouse and I throw a ranged attack, Funhouse is going to attack me because that ranged attack is going right for him. It's not going to go for whoever else I point to. I don't normally lock onto anybody in this game, especially with a melee character, because with melee characters you can turn around and attack multiple people. So you see, Funhouse isn't bothered by me. Funhouse doesn't give a crap. He is just walking along. Maybe eventually I will post videos of the various world bosses. I do have characters at level 30, and I have subscribed to this game now. So all of my level 30 characters have access to the level 30 endgame content and the DLC from level 30. And I can't wait to start showing that off. But I'm going to finish this series first so that it is all wrapped up nice and tidy. And then I will start showing off my other characters and the DLC content. This particular area is easier for heroes than it is for villains, because in this area, most of Joker's henchmen are already arrested. They're incapacitated. They won't attack you. You see the guy on the left. He's arrested. He's handcuffed. He's not going to hurt me. There are very few hostiles in this area, so all I have to do is pop the barrels. This is for the side quest. This isn't for the main quest. The main quest is done, and it will send me to the Joker's Funhouse. But, of course, the game throws you a little bit of a curveball because these barrels are in sets of 3. All of them are in sets of 3. And 25 is not a multiple of 3. On the villain side of this, it's 14. So, even after you get, in my case, 6 sets of 3, 8 sets of 3, good for math. So even after you get 8 sets of 3 barrels, you still need to find one more lonely barrel. I'm working on the last full set of barrels right now. There's an enemy in front of me that I'm going to take care of. That baseball bat is really doing some work. And I pop the very last barrel. Quest is done, and I am off to Joker's Funhouse. So the Joker's Funhouse instance is one of my favorite instances. There is a lot of stuff to do. You get 2 side quests as soon as you walk in the door. As a hero, they're both to free cops, and as a villain, one of them is to imprison cops, and the other one is to... Oh, I don't know what the other one's for. But either way, with both heroes and villains, you get 2 side quests in this area, so you get extra marks of triumph. You can repeat it once a day, even when you're level 30. and it will get you 2 extra marks of triumph in addition to whatever completing the quest gives you. So you get to see Ice Elemental for the first time. It opens up a whole new power set. You can make a 3rd loadout, so in addition to tank and damage, I have the Ice Elemental loadout. It seems like his attack is brawling. I'm not too terribly familiar with brawling, so I'm going to have to practice with this. I'm going to respec entirely so that I have other abilities and I get rid of some abilities that I didn't like. I have not respec this character yet. For the most part, I can deal with everything I've got going on, but I am definitely planning on doing that soon. Now that I'm subscribed to the game, I have access to all of my money, and I'm looking forward to being able to use it to do things like buy things at the auction house, or respec my character, or buy different hairstyles and outfits that I did not unlock when I created the character. In this game, subscribing gives you access to all of the DLC content. You're not going to have to buy pieces of DLC, but once you unsubscribe, you lose access to that DLC content. So if you go from a subscriber to a free player, you lose access to all of the endgame content that you may have been playing. You can keep anything that you're currently wearing, and if you bought a DLC lair or something like that, you can access the things. You can access the lair itself, but you can't access any of the DLC features in that lair, like your generator or your dispenser. It's all gone. It's still present, but when you click on it, it'll say you don't own this piece of DLC, and it will not let you do anything fun. The hardest part about this entire area are these Joker androids. They have a lot of health, and they have some very powerful attacks. If you're not prepared for them, they will wreck you. You won't even know what hit you. And even if you are prepared for them, I'm 4 levels higher than they are. They still take forever to kill. So you have to break these packages. You don't know if you're gonna get a police officer out of these packages, or if you're going to get a Joker dog or a Joker android. So if you pop one and you get a Joker android, they're pretty difficult to deal with. I got 2 on me right now, in addition to all of Bane's thugs. So I'm going to push him away with my Ice Pyramid. So that's an ability I'm probably going to get rid of. And I have to deal with the whole mob here. Fortunately, my hammer swing all by itself is a cleave, and it can AoE the enemies that are near me without me having to single out targets. But both of the Joker androids are still alive, and they're knocking me down and they're kicking my butt, and I am trying really, really hard to deal with them. They also explode when you kill them. They sit around for a little bit. They taunt you. They, say, "Oh, this is the big one. Goodbye, cruel world," and then they blow up. So I've gotten all of the side quests already. I don't need to free any more cops. And I can proceed as planned. There's not too much difficulty in this, but there are a lot of enemies. There's a feat somewhere for killing a bunch of them. I don't know the number. If it pops up in this video, I will certainly let you know, and you'll be able to see it for yourself. And my priority right now is dealing with the mini Joker androids in the event that I pop one. Now, what's really cool is the shield that I just popped has a reflective property. So if you're dealing with an enemy that is really, really tough and hits really, really hard, that shield will reflect damage back at that enemy. So anything that they're throwing at you, you just pop that shield and they'll be throwing it right back at themselves, at least a portion of it. That fourth attack in the combo, it doesn't quite look right with a baseball bat, I don't think. It looks much better with a hammer or an axe, or maybe even a sword. When you're coming down with that big overhead smash, and all you have is a little tiny baseball bat, aesthetically speaking, it doesn't look right.
I'm sorry. Of course, you know, this means war.
This is a really good example of how the tank mode reduces your damage output. As you can see, I'm mowing through these guys really hard. I'm hitting them with everything I've got, and it takes a long time for them to go down. And it doesn't normally take a long time for them to go down. So the switching to tank mode decreases your ability to do damage. While you're leveling, it's not the best idea, but it does allow you to pull enemies towards you and debilitate them. It also, if you're having a hard time staying alive, it'll keep you alive longer.
Somebody, please.
I get to give the ice elemental another try. I don't want to save it for the boss because you get a feat if you don't use a superpower on a boss. So I'm going to practice on Joker's Goons with ice elemental a little bit. You have access to all of your powers, and it doesn't seem like you get any new powers, but it does seem like you also get an increase in both damage and survivability when you're that ice elemental. I've been looking at ways to build this character, and none of them use it. They don't seem to like it. They think it's kind of a waste of an ability. But giving me a whole new combat tree is worth it to me. So I have that third loadout bar, and once I pop the ice elemental, that I get that third loadout bar. There's the feat for defeating villains in this instance. You have to kill 30 of them. So if you're keeping count, you have to go through 30 of them. You can skip some of them. There are enemies in areas that aren't going to attack you necessarily. You can just kind of walk past them without generating aggro. But if you want that feat for killing 30 of them, you have to kill 30 of them.
Hello? Anyone out there? Thanks. You're all right, buddy. Help! Get me out! Don't let those guys get away. I got this one.
Here are Righty and Lefty. These guys are actually part of Two-Face's clan. And they're not a difficult fight, but it's pretty cool that they put them in here. So you've got to get past Righty and Lefty in order to get to Harley Quinn, who is the final boss of this instance. If you have any supers to burn, I suggest you burn them while fighting Righty and Lefty, because you don't necessarily want to burn them fighting Harley Quinn. This also brings up another very interesting point. Since heroes and villains do a lot of the same instances, it seems like the hero shows up after the villain shows up, chronologically speaking, because in the villain plot, you rescue Harley Quinn and defeat Robin, and in the hero part, you are rescuing Robin and defeating Harley Quinn. So it could work either way, conceivably. You could have shown up first, defeated Harley Quinn, and then you're going in as the villain to take the place back. Or you could have shown up after the villain showed up and defeated Robin, and then you get to defeat Harley Quinn. So I'm not exactly sure how it works chronologically speaking. I'm not even sure if they thought that far ahead. But Harley Quinn's boss fight mechanics aren't difficult. She can take a while to kill if you are closer to her level. So if you're level 14 or 15 or even lower, this boss fight will take you a long time. She's got a couple of attacks. She's got that hammer smash, where she overhand smashes until she smashes her foot. And once she smashes her foot, she's vulnerable for a few seconds and you can go after her. She's also got the spinning hammer attack, which she spins around in circles and spins around in circles until she gets dizzy, at which point she becomes weak for a few seconds and you can attack her. Once you kill her, everybody runs away. You get to arrest her and free Robin, and you will pop a wonderful Harley Quinn cutscene, which I will let you watch right now.
Thanks for the help.
Get me out!
Not that I couldn't have gotten up by myself.
Wait.
Yeah, eventually.
They call him the Joker. But my puddin' is no joke. He has a dream of a world where everybody is always laughing. A whole world just busting fit to explode. Kaboom! So maybe I'm crazy. But aren't we all a little crazy? In love.
Thank you, everybody, for joining me for part 7 of DC Universe Online. I am happy to continue to produce these, whether you watch them or not. So I will be back next time. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Have a nice day.